What if one moment of fame could define your entire legacy, yet the most powerful chapters of your life remained hidden? Grace Lee Whitney, best known as Yeoman Janice Rand in Star Trek, the original series, was more than just a science fiction icon. Her life was a roller coaster of triumphs and tribulations, filled with incredible talent, Hollywood's darker realities, and an inspiring tale of redemption. Many know her as the poised and dedicated assistant to Captain Kirk, but few realize the depth of her journey beyond the screen. From a promising early career in music and Broadway to a shocking and abrupt dismissal from Star Trek, Whitney faced struggles that tested her resilience. She encountered the grim side of Hollywood, battled addiction, and ultimately found strength in faith and recovery. This is the story of an actress whose career took unexpected turns, but whose impact remains undeniable. As we dive into her life, we uncover the truth behind her departure from Star Trek, her struggles with addiction and abuse, and her powerful return to the franchise. More than just a supporting character in a sci-fi series, Grace Lee Whitney was a woman of remarkable courage, talent, and perseverance. Stay with us as we unveil the hidden chapters of Grace Lee Whitney's life, a story of loss, survival, and triumph that proves she was more than just a face in the final frontier. Born in 1930 as Mary Ann Chase in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Grace Lee Whitney was destined for the spotlight. From a young age, she exhibited an innate talent for performing, captivating those around her with her charisma and musical abilities. Raised in a challenging environment, she found solace in the arts, using music and performance as an escape from the hardships of early life. Her passion led her to Chicago, where she honed her singing skills in local clubs and theaters. Under her new name, Grace Lee Whitney, she began to carve a path in show business, determined to make a name for herself in an industry that demanded perseverance and talent. She caught the attention of industry professionals with her distinctive voice and stage presence, which set the stage for an evolving career in entertainment. Whitney's early years were defined by hard work and an unyielding commitment to her craft. She quickly gained recognition in the music and theater world, opening doors to bigger opportunities. But as her career began to gain momentum, she soon discovered that success in Hollywood was anything but straightforward. Her journey from small-town Michigan to the dazzling lights of show business was just the beginning. She was about to step onto an even bigger stage, one that would immortalize her in pop culture history, while also challenging her in ways she could never have imagined. Before she set foot on the U.S. enterprise, Grace Lee Whitney was already a seasoned performer with a rich background in music and Broadway. She was a talented singer who shared the stage with some of the biggest names in entertainment, including Billie Holiday. Her captivating voice and commanding stage presence made her a sought-after performer in clubs, theaters, and television variety shows. In the 1950s and early 1960s, Whitney's career flourished as she made a name for herself on Broadway, appearing in musicals that showcased her dynamic vocal range. She brought energy and charisma to every performance, proving she was more than just a pretty face. She was a true entertainer. She also worked in television, securing guest roles on popular shows and impressing audiences with her versatility. Music was her first love, and she frequently performed with renowned orchestras and bands. Her ability to blend powerful vocals with a magnetic stage presence kept her in high demand. However, like many actresses of the era, she soon realized that Hollywood often dictated a woman's career path. Despite her success, Whitney knew she needed a breakthrough role to solidify her place in the entertainment industry. That opportunity came when she was cast as Yeoman Janice Rand in Star Trek, a role that would bring her global recognition, but also lead to unexpected heartbreak. Her journey from Broadway to Star Trek was paved with ambition, talent, and perseverance. But Hollywood's golden ticket often came with a price, and Whitney was about to face the most challenging chapter of her career. When Grace Lee Whitney was cast as Yeoman Janice Rand in Star Trek, the original series, she became part of a groundbreaking television show that would go on to shape pop culture. As the trusted assistant to Captain Kirk, her character embodied professionalism and strength, reflecting Gene Roddenberry's vision of a progressive and diverse future. On screen, Yeoman Rand was poised, efficient, and deeply respected by Kirk and the crew. Whitney's portrayal brought warmth and humanity to the role, making her a fan favorite. The chemistry between her and William Shatner was undeniable, leading many to speculate on whether their characters would develop a romantic subplot. However, behind the scenes, tensions were brewing. Studio executives made creative decisions that would alter the course of her career. Despite being positioned as a major character, Whitney's time on Star Trek was cut short. Even with her abrupt departure, Janice Rand left an indelible mark on the Star Trek universe. Whitney's character was a symbol of intelligence and dedication, and though her time on the series was brief, it was powerful enough to earn her a loyal following. But just as quickly as she had stepped onto the U.S. Enterprise, she was forced to step away, leaving behind unanswered questions and a mystery that would linger for years. Grace Lee Whitney's sudden exit from Star Trek. The original series remains one of the most puzzling and heartbreaking moments in the show's history. When she first joined the cast, her character, Janice Rand, was positioned as a key member of the U.S. Enterprise crew. She was meant to be Captain Kirk's trusted assistant, and there were hints of a potential romantic subplot. But after only 8 episodes, she was abruptly written out of the series. At the time, official explanations were vague. Some speculated that the show's producers wanted to eliminate any romantic tension between Kirk and Rand to keep the captain's character free for episodic love interests. Others believed budget constraints led to the reduction of her role. However, Whitney later revealed that there was a much darker reason behind her departure. In her memoir, The Longest Trek, My Tour of the Galaxy, she disclosed that she had been sexually assaulted by an executive associated with the show. Devastated and traumatized, she was dismissed from Star Trek shortly after the incident. This betrayal not only shattered her career at the time, but also sent her into a deep emotional and psychological downward spiral. Her forced exit from Star Trek was not just a professional setback, it was a personal tragedy. While the series continued to thrive, Whitney struggled to cope with what had happened to her. For decades, she remained silent about the real reasons behind her departure, suffering and isolation. But her story didn't end there. The hardships she endured would later shape her inspiring journey of survival and redemption. Grace Lee Whitney's departure from Star Trek marked the beginning of a dark chapter in her life. The trauma of her assault, combined with the abrupt end of her rising career, left her feeling abandoned and lost. Like many struggling actors in Hollywood, she turned to alcohol and drugs as a means of coping with the pain. What began as an escape quickly spiraled into a full-blown addiction. She found herself trapped in a destructive cycle, struggling to find work and grappling with feelings of worthlessness. Hollywood was unforgiving, and without the stability of a steady acting career, she became increasingly isolated. For years, Whitney battled alcoholism, sinking to rock bottom before she could begin to rebuild her life. She later described these years as some of the most challenging times, as she lost opportunities, relationships, and even her self-respect. The industry that had once embraced her had now turned its back, leaving her to fight her demons alone. But even in her darkest moments, she never completely gave up. With time, she realized that she needed to take control of her own destiny. She sought help, entered recovery programs, and made a conscious decision to turn her life around. Her journey to sobriety wasn't easy, but it became one of her greatest accomplishments. She later dedicated her life to helping others who faced similar battles, proving that even in the face of unimaginable hardship, redemption was possible. Overcoming addiction is a battle that few win without immense strength and determination, and for Grace Lee Whitney, it was a fight that would define the rest of her life. After years of struggling, she made a crucial decision. She would reclaim her life and heal from the trauma that had nearly destroyed her. With the help of Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, and strong personal resolve, Whitney embarked on the long road to recovery. She committed herself fully to sobriety, attending meetings and surrounding herself with a support system that encouraged her to keep moving forward. She openly credited her faith and her newfound belief in a higher purpose as key factors in her recovery. As she regained control over her life, she also found a new calling, helping others who struggled with addiction. She became an active advocate for recovery programs, sharing her story in hopes of inspiring others to seek help. Her honesty and vulnerability resonated with many, as she didn't shy away from discussing the darkest moments of her past. Her redemption story was not just about getting sober. It was about transforming her pain into something meaningful. She became a symbol of resilience, proving that no matter how far someone falls, there is always a way back. Grace Lee Whitney's recovery was more than just a personal victory. It was a testament to the power of second chances. And soon, the world of Star Trek would come calling again, offering her a new opportunity to embrace the legacy she had once lost. For years, fans of Star Trek had wondered what had happened to yeoman Janice Rand. Though her time on the show was brief, her character had left a lasting impression. And when the Star Trek film franchise began in the late 1970s, the door was finally opened for Whitney's long-awaited return. In Star Trek, the motion picture 1979, Whitney made her first reappearance as Janice Rand, now promoted to Chief Petty Officer. It was a powerful moment, not just for fans, but for Whitney herself. After years of hardship, she was back in the franchise that had once defined her career. Her return wasn't just a cameo, it was a sign of reconciliation. Over the next few decades, she reprised her role in multiple Star Trek films, including Star Trek I, The Search for Spock, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Each time she appeared, it was a reminder that she had not been forgotten. For Whitney, these moments were more than just acting gigs. They symbolized the full-circle nature of her journey, from being cast aside to being welcomed back with open arms. She once described her return to Star Trek as a deeply emotional experience, a validation that her character, and she as an actress, still mattered. Her comeback proved that while Hollywood can be cruel, it can also offer redemption. And for Grace Lee Whitney, stepping back onto the Star Trek set was the moment she truly reclaimed her place in the universe. Although Star Trek had given Grace Lee Whitney a second chance, her career extended beyond the final frontier. While she continued to embrace her role as Janice Rand, she also pursued other creative endeavors, proving that she was more than just a sci-fi icon. After her return to Star Trek, Whitney appeared in a variety of television shows and films, albeit in smaller roles. She had guest appearances in popular series, often embracing characters that reflected her personal growth. Though Hollywood had largely moved on from the golden era she started in, she remained a working actress, taking on roles that allowed her to continue expressing her talent. Whitney also turned to writing as a means of sharing her experiences. In 1998, she published her memoir, The Longest Trek: My Tour of the Galaxy, which candidly detailed her career, her struggles with addiction, and the abuse she endured in Hollywood. The book was met with praise for its honesty and resilience, giving fans a deeper understanding of the woman behind the uniform. Beyond acting and writing, she dedicated herself to advocating for addiction recovery, frequently speaking at conventions, rehab centers, and outreach programs. She used her own struggles as a way to connect with others, showing that transformation was possible. Though she never reclaimed the mainstream stardom she once sought, she built a life defined by purpose and passion. Her story became more than just a Hollywood tale. It was one of perseverance, survival, and ultimately, victory. While some actors from the original Star Trek distanced themselves from their roles, Grace Lee Whitney fully embraced her Star Trek legacy. She became a beloved figure at conventions, forming a deep bond with fans who had supported her through the years. Whitney was a regular guest at Star Trek conventions worldwide, where she shared stories, signed autographs, and reconnected with fellow cast members. Unlike many actors who resent being typecast, she found joy in the continued love for Janice Rand. She recognized that Star Trek was more than just a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon that had changed lives. For Whitney, these conventions were more than just professional appearances. They were deeply personal. She often spoke about how the Star Trek community had given her strength during her darkest moments. Fans who had never forgotten her character reminded her that her role, no matter how brief, had left a lasting impression. She frequently expressed gratitude toward the Star Trek fandom, crediting them for keeping her connected to a world that might have otherwise left her behind. She built friendships with dedicated fans and became an advocate for those who had struggled with addiction and trauma. Her presence at conventions was always met with warmth and admiration. Whether reminiscing about her time on the show or discussing her personal journey, she remained an inspiration to those who saw her not just as a character in Star Trek, but as a survivor with a powerful story to tell. Grace Lee Whitney's impact extended far beyond her role as Janice Rand. Though her time on Star Trek was brief, her legacy as an actress, a survivor, and an advocate continues to resonate. She was more than a sci-fi star. She was a symbol of strength and perseverance. Whitney's story is one of resilience. She faced some of the harshest realities of Hollywood, from an abrupt career setback to personal trauma, yet she refused to let her struggles define her. Instead, she rebuilt herself, using her experiences to inspire others. Her candidness about addiction and recovery made her a powerful voice for those struggling with similar battles. At a time when Hollywood often brushed such issues under the rug, Whitney openly discussed her journey, showing others that redemption was possible. She proved that no matter how difficult life becomes, there is always a way forward. In the Star Trek universe, her character evolved beyond the limitations originally placed on her. Janice Rand went from a background role to a symbol of growth and professionalism in later Star Trek films. She represented perseverance, both on and off screen, mirroring Whitney's real-life journey. Her influence lives on, not just in the episodes and films she appeared in, but in the countless fans and individuals she inspired. Grace Lee Whitney was more than a supporting actress in Star Trek. She was a fighter, a survivor, and a woman who refused to be forgotten. On May 1, 2015, Grace Lee Whitney passed away at the age of 85. Her death marked the end of a remarkable life, but her legacy remains deeply ingrained in the hearts of Star Trek fans and all those who followed her story. In the days following her passing, tributes poured in from fans, former colleagues, and actors within the Star Trek universe. Many remembered her for her warmth, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the franchise. William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and others who had worked with her expressed their admiration for her journey, acknowledging the struggles she had overcome. Her influence was not only felt within Star Trek, but also in the recovery community. Those who had heard her speak at conventions, addiction programs, or through her memoir shared stories of how she had inspired them. She wasn't just an actress, she was a beacon of hope for many. Whitney's final years were spent in peace, surrounded by family and a community that cherished her. She had lived through some of the darkest chapters of Hollywood, but she had emerged with her dignity and spirit intact. As fans continued to rewatch Star Trek, attend conventions, and read her memoir, her story remains alive. She may be gone, but Grace Lee Whitney will always be remembered as a survivor who boldly faced life's greatest challenges. Grace Lee Whitney's life serves as a powerful lesson in resilience, redemption, and self-discovery. She was more than just a character on Star Trek. She was a woman who faced the harshest realities of Hollywood and still found the strength to rise above them. Her journey teaches us that success is not always linear. One moment, she was poised for stardom, and the next, she was cast aside. But instead of allowing failure to define her, she found a way to reclaim her life. Her commitment to recovery and advocacy showed that even in the darkest times, there is always a path forward. Her willingness to speak openly about addiction, trauma, and survival helped break the silence surrounding these issues in Hollywood. She turned her pain into purpose, helping countless others who struggled with similar battles. Her return to Star Trek was more than just a career resurgence. It was proof that life offers second chances. In remembering Grace Lee Whitney, we see the story not just of loss, but of triumph. She reminds us that no matter how difficult life gets, we can always find our way back. Whether through her performances, her writing, or her advocacy, her spirit continues to inspire. Her story is one that deserves to be told, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a beacon of hope for anyone fighting their own battles. In the end, Grace Lee Whitney proved that even in the vastness of the unknown, there is always a way to navigate home. Grace Lee Whitney's journey was one of highs and lows, but her legacy remains unshaken. From the stages of Broadway to the depths of personal struggle, she showed us what it means to persevere. Her return to Star Trek was a testament to the power of redemption, and her advocacy work made a lasting impact beyond Hollywood. If her story resonated with you, let's keep her memory alive. Share this video, leave a comment about your favorite Yeoman Rand moment, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth looks at the untold stories of entertainment legends. Thank you for watching, and remember, no matter where life takes you, there's always a way to rewrite your own story.